Hello and welcome to Warblog. I'm just doing a video for the sake of doing a video. I'm still not even decided which game I want to play. I just wanted to say maybe that I have been both hyperactive and not present for a while. I did a bunch of scenarios really quickly and then just so busy. But I'd like to do a video for all of them. I'm sort of way back, I haven't done one for quite a while. I think I did a video on this. And anyway, so I'm currently looking at the, I sort of want to talk about them all really, but the Euphrates Shield, which is the Turkish action in northern Syria. But I'm just going to keep it brief on this one, the Battle of Ahvaz, because I might save the other do videos on the others themselves. But I don't intend to play this, or at least that's what I'm hinting at. Whether or not I don't, something else. Essentially, this is an interesting battle, like a lot of them. Obviously, it's a bit tall for my short screen, but on the bigger monitor, it's sort of don't have to scroll so much. This is part of one of my favourite sort of eras, the Iran-Iraq War, mainly because it essentially hasn't been covered, and a more obscure scenario, the more interest it has for me really. And there's virtually nothing on this. I've got quite a nice little book here that covers the basic outline. So there are quite a few. I mean, if I do a search, and I wonder what country I put it in. If I do, look at that nice long list of strange places. If I do a search on Iran, that's interesting. Oh no, there it is there. So, and one of the interesting things about this search feature is you can sort of get it in context or chronological order. So this, yeah. So this was the first one that I've done. This is the Iranian liberation of Khorram Shah and the southern regions. This is the Battle of Khorram Shah, followed on by the Battle of Ahvaz. Now these two battles I'm a bit lost now. Essentially, I think the date on this one might not be correct. This is the liberation of Khorram Shah, which didn't take place. I'm pretty sure it didn't take place in 1980, because I'm pretty sure it took place at around the same time as this. But I'm not going to start looking my books and things. This happened sort of at the same time as Khorram Shah, which down here is sort of flagged up as 1980. I'm not going to comment on whether it's just me that's wrong or whether this is wrong, but basically this is taking place at the same time. And the reason I sort of know that is because when I'm reading about this, it contrasts it to the Iraqi defeat in Khorram Shah, and contrasts it with this, which was an Iraqi victory. Now, I just want to sort of go over some of the basics. Now, essentially, there's probably a few more units than there should be. The first thing to say is I don't know where the front line was, so I've sort of guessed this pretty much based on I think this map. So if we have a quick look at this map, if it's there, yeah, this one here, you can pretty much see. Oh no, it's this one here. Look, you can pretty much see the defensive line. So this Sengard, there is Azav there. So you can sort of see that the line sort of follows like that. And now what I sort of figured that this was the road and this is more the river and this is that angle. So if you look at that, compare it to that, this is that sort of angle, and this is it then following up the river down there and then following it down to Khorram Shah, etc. And just to put it into perspective, there is Khorram Shah there and there is Ahvaz. So there's this front line here, and I think you'll find that these two lines are before and after. So that's the sort of geography in the perspective. Now, as I say, other than that map, that's the only indicator, and these look like they've been done in paint, so they're not they're not particularly accurate. I haven't given the Iranians defensive features because they're on the attack. There's no mention in the book I have of air power. Now I do know that both sides, the Iranians didn't have a lot of air power and the Iraqis were holding it back because they were frightened of losing it. They've got air defence because they're in defence, and at what time I hadn't decided whether to use air power. But I haven't included any, so it's a strange game because it doesn't have any, but my book doesn't refer to any. But I do intend to do a little more research on it. So you've got this line of fortifications. Now, I'm going to open my book up here so that I can refer to it directly. Essentially, most of this is sort of historically, I don't want to say correct, it's based historically on what the information that I have, with what I call filler. I'll go in on that in a bit. So basically, the Iraqis were defending with they had the 5th Mechanized Division, doing this from memory, 5th Mechanized Division with 5 brigades, and so what we've got here there's 1 brigade here, and that would be this one here. So this is the 5th Division, this is the 419th Brigade, and they've basically got 4 regiments. So there's 1 there, there's 1 under there. It's quite easy to figure out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's got filler in between, a bit like my teeth. And then down here we've got the 109th Brigade. So there's 1 under there, 2, 3, 4. I didn't do this on purpose, it's just sort of handed out that alternating hexes with these nice big brigades with regiments was quite good. And then down here, obviously in a similar format, we've got this brigade, the 504th, 1, 2, 3, and probably 1 under there, yep. So we've got these 3 brigades holding up the front line. Now if I'd just left them there would be gaps in between, and so I've put in what I'm calling filler units, and but to balance that up, I've given the Iranians filler units, but whereas these people have 10 of the little ones, 10 of the big ones. So there's a big one, well, let's use grown up words here. That's a battalion and a company, where they got 10 of each, they've got 15 of each. Now it still doesn't really make up the sort of the 3-to-1 attacker rule, but I just wanted to sort of reflect that, mainly because I don't think that they should be used. These are just really there to hold spaces up, and for on the Iranian side, really to sort of represent the fact that they wouldn't be committing everything, and this is a sort of a defensive line. So they wouldn't be leaving these fords and these bridges completely undefended. They will be sort of, in theory, leaving a lot of these things behind. So there's the 3 brigades, but there's also 2, and this is key to understanding how this worked. And maybe I should have put these back a bit. But there's this, which is the 15th Brigade. So there's 2 of the regiments there, 2 of their regiments there. Maybe I should put them there and there to represent that they're held back. They held back, so basically this was their strategy when and they're pretty much doing the same thing in Khorram Shah, but they lost there. When they were attacked. And this is be interesting to see how well this works. I'm not going to try and play it because it's just too involved. I think too much thinking to make a good narrative. But when they make a breakthrough, and obviously you're going to go for the weak points, and I'm assuming that the weak points are not across the river. Although I can't remember when you can't attack across the river, and I don't know what the attack across a ford is. Don't know whether I've got those rules in there yet, but I don't think I have. So basically, the assaults are going to come along here. So I envisage something, this is why all the objectives are sort of in the middle of the map. Plus if you're going to be thinking historically, you're going to want to do something similar to that. But let's suppose they broke through here, because there's only 6 units, still quite a lot. It's half of this. Let's suppose we broke through there. The whole idea here is that this 20th Brigade, there's 2 of them in there and 2 of them down here, they would then essentially counter attack the breakthrough. Now, where this game fails to some extent is, well, there's a number of areas. I won't go into the obvious ones, but in particular with this scenario, is that there's little point in breaking through. The whole idea is when they break through this defensive line and then penetrate into the back, then these units would then take them out. So if this unit broke through here, but the thing is, you're going to penetrate, and then you're going to take this hex, so it's going to be still pretty hefty to try and attack. But even so, you would then bring these units in, and with the units behind it, essentially repulse the breakthroughs. So that's what these units were for, and it's similar. I think that's similar to the Second World War doctrine, and it's similar to the concept of doctrine by having a sort of formalized military structure, a military sort of layout that you apply regardless of the immediate sort of tactical, strategic, concerned objectives, etc. You always have something in the back, as part of what we call doctrine. And so that's that in play here. And it's also interesting to note that this strategy was so successful that the Iraqis employed it throughout the rest of the war, and applied it to good effect. The only other thing to sort of say, I'm talking about the failures of the game, other than the fact that it's sort of, you're not really going to get that breakthrough because there isn't anything to break through. As soon as there's no isolation rules, there's no sort of, there wouldn't be much purpose in putting a unit sort of here. It's not going to scare these units because they're not real. It's a game, so it would, but historically it caused a lot of confusion. Just putting even small units here behind the lines caused a lot of confusion, and caused units to sort of, change what they were doing, maybe even retreat, thinking that they would, the line had been broken. And all you need to do is get a little bit of units, small numbers of units down there. It wasn't as though they rolled the flank up or anything. But also the other part of where it sort of fails in sort of the immediate sense here is that this was heavily mined. They had thousands of mines, both anti-personnel and tank mines, all along here, and I haven't got those yet. So when I do those, I will put that in as well. Already running out of time, but again, the Iranian side is fairly well defined, but they only have, I think they have 2. Let me just read it because I'm a bit more vague on that. I'll just read it almost straight out due to time limitations. Essentially, they had 2 armoured brigades, so I split it up into 2 lots of 4 regiments. There's 8 tank regiments, a commando regiment, which I've souped up a bit, 3 infantry regiments from the regular army, and the Pasdaran provided 12 regiments. When you add all that up, it's still not a lot. I mean, when I did that, it was sort of like, there's not enough troops, no wonder they failed. But when I put all the placer in, the placer adds up quite a lot. And I still think that the Iranians are heavily, outnumbered, in the sense that they don't really have the 3-to-1 odds that you might imagine. I've given them 8 lots of artillery, I think, against their 4 lots of artillery, which are behind the lines. So that might, add things up. But historically, it's an interesting scenario. The key thing here, again, I think I've written in the footnotes, is that the Iranians lost 10,000 people in the space of 2 days, and the Iraqis lost about 600. So that's what you call a bloodbath. So that's the whatever it is, the Battle of Ahvaz, which is there. That's Ahvaz. I don't know why it's called that, because they're taking the route through here. Maybe that will appeal to you if you're a big, sort of mega gamer, so to speak. And I'll speak to you later.